The day I realized my husband no longer saw my worth, there was no shouting.
No argument.
No harsh words. It happened in silence. I was standing in our kitchen, holding a cup of tea that had already gone cold. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that feels heavy instead of peaceful. And in that moment, I understood something I had been avoiding for a long time. I had supported him for years, through every struggle, every fear, every dream that did not come true right away. But somewhere along the way, he stopped seeing me. I did not cry then. I did not even feel angry. I just felt tired, the kind of tired that sits deep in your chest. I looked around the home I helped build, the walls I painted, the meals I cooked, the sacrifices I made quietly, without asking for praise. And I wondered when I became invisible. People often think love ends with a loud fight, but sometimes it ends in small moments. Moments where you realize you are no longer noticed, no longer thanked, no longer valued. That morning, my husband walked past me without a word. He picked up his phone, checked his messages, and left the house. He did not ask if I was okay. He did not look at me. And that was when it finally sank in. I had given him my strength, my time, my youth, my support, and he forgot my worth. When we first met, life felt simple. We were young then, full of hope. We did not have much, but we believed we had enough. He used to look at me like I was his safe place, like I was the one who believed in him when no one else did. And maybe I was. I remember the early days clearly. Our small rented room, the old fan that made noise all night, the shared dreams whispered before sleep. He would say, "One day, things will be better. I promise." And I believed him. I worked hard, not because I had to, but because I wanted us to grow together. When he struggled at work, I encouraged him. When he failed, I reminded him of his worth. There were days when money was tight. Days when we counted coins before buying groceries. Days when I went without things so he could move forward. I never complained. I cooked meals that stretched for days. I reused clothes. I saved every little amount I could, all so he could chase his goals without worry. People used to say, "You are such a supportive wife." I smiled when they said that, because I thought that was love. When he got a better job, I felt proud. When he earned praise, I felt happy for him. When his confidence grew, I stood quietly behind him. But slowly, something changed. He stopped asking how my day was, stopped noticing when I was tired, stopped listening when I spoke. At first, I told myself it was stress, work pressure, responsibilities. I made excuses for him, because that is what I had always done. But love should not make you feel unseen. There were small signs, so small that I ignored them. He started coming home later, eating meals without sitting with me, scrolling on his phone while I talked. Sometimes I would say, "Did you hear what I said?" And he would reply, "Yes, go on." But his eyes never left the screen. I began to feel like a background voice in my own home, like furniture that was always there but never noticed. Still, I stayed quiet. I thought love meant patience. I thought support meant silence. I kept doing everything I always did. Cooking, cleaning, managing the house. But no one thanked me anymore. When I dressed nicely, he did not notice. When I felt unwell, he did not ask. When I stayed awake waiting for him, he did not care. And slowly, I began to disappear inside myself. Inner realization. One evening, I sat alone at the dining table. Dinner was ready. The house smelled warm and familiar. He came in late, looked at the food, and said, "I already ate outside." That was all.
No apology. No explanation.
I sat there long after he went to bed. The food untouched. The silence loud. That was when a quiet question entered my heart. When did my support stop being enough? I remembered all the times I stood by him. All the nights I stayed awake worrying about his future. All the sacrifices he never knew about. And I realized something painful. He did not forget my worth overnight. It happened slowly. because I allowed myself to be taken for granted. That night, I lay awake next to him, listening to his breathing, feeling the distance between us. I did not hate him. I still loved him. But love should not make you feel small. And deep inside, I knew this was only the beginning of the story. Something was coming, a moment that would change how I saw myself forever. After that night, nothing changed on the outside. The house looked the same. Our routine stayed the same. But inside me, something had shifted. I woke up every morning before him. I made tea. I packed his lunch the way he liked it. Ironed his clothes carefully, smoothing out every wrinkle. When he walked past me, I searched his face. I waited for a smile. A small word. Anything. Most days, there was nothing. He was not cruel. That almost made it harder. He was polite, busy,
Distant.
and distance can hurt more than anger. There was a time when he would call me during the day, just to ask, "Did you eat? Are you okay?" Those calls stopped. Now, if I did not call him, the phone stayed silent. When I did call, his voice sounded rushed.
I'm Buse.
"I'll talk later." Later rarely came. I started noticing how often I waited. Waiting for him to come home. Waiting for him to notice me. Waiting for him to ask how I was. Waiting became my habit that we used to eat together. Even if the food was simple, we sat side by side. Now, he ate quickly, sometimes standing, sometimes while checking his phone. I would place the plate in front of him and sit across the table. He barely looked up. One evening, I asked softly, "Do you like the food?" He replied without thinking, "It's fine." That word stayed with me.
Fine.
Not good. Not thank you. Just fine. I felt silly for asking, so I stopped. Feeling invisible. I began to feel like I was fading in my own home, like I was only there to keep things running. If something was missing, he noticed. If something was broken, he mentioned it. But if I was tired, sad, or quiet, he did not. Once, I had a bad headache. I lay down early, hoping he would ask. He walked in, turned off the light, and said, "You're sleeping already?" That was all. No concern. No care. I stared at the ceiling in the dark and felt tears gather, but I did not let them fall. The weight of silence. Silence filled our home. Not peaceful silence. Heavy silence. We talked about bills.
About work.
About errands. But we did not talk about us. I wanted to say, "I feel lonely. I feel forgotten." But the words stayed stuck in my throat. I was afraid. Afraid of being told I was overthinking. Afraid of hearing that my feelings were a problem. So I stayed quiet, remembering the past. Sometimes I looked at old photos. Photos of us smiling. Photos where his hand rested on my shoulder. I wondered where that man went. I remembered the nights we talked for hours. The way he listened. The way he cared. I asked myself if I had changed. Maybe I was no longer interesting. Maybe I was too ordinary. Too familiar.
That thought hurt the most.
When I stopped asking him about his day. Not because I didn't care, but because he never asked about mine. I stopped dressing up. Stopped hoping. I moved through the house quietly, like I did not want to disturb him. And he did not notice the change. That hurt more than anything. A small conversation. One evening, I finally spoke. I said, softly, "Do you think we've grown distant?" He paused, then shrugged. That's just how life is. That was the moment my heart sank. Because love should never feel like something you accept without care. That night, I sat alone near the window. The street outside was quiet. A soft breeze moved the curtain. I felt silly for asking, so I stopped. Feeling invisible. I began to feel like I was fading in my own home. Like I was only there to keep things running. If something was missing, he noticed. If something was broken, he mentioned it. But if I was tired, sad, or quiet, he did not. Once I had a bad headache. I lay down early, hoping he would ask. He walked in, turned off the light, and said, "You're sleeping already?" That was all. No concern. No care. I stared at the ceiling in the dark and felt tears gather, but I did not let them fall. The weight of silence. Silence filled our home. Not peaceful silence. Heavy silence. We talked about bills, about work, about errands, but we did not talk about us. I wanted to say, I feel lonely. I feel forgotten. But the words stayed stuck in my throat. I was afraid. Afraid of being told I was overthinking. Afraid of hearing that my feelings were a problem. So I stayed quiet, remembering the past. Sometimes I looked at old photos. Photos of us smiling. Photos where his hand rested on my shoulder. I wondered where that man went. I remembered the nights we talked for hours. The way he listened. The way he cared. I asked myself if I had changed. Maybe I was no longer interesting. Maybe I was too ordinary. Too familiar. That thought hurt the most. When I stopped asking him about his day. Not because I didn't care, but because he never asked about mine. I stopped dressing up. Stopped hoping. I moved through the house quietly, like I did not want to disturb him. And he did not notice the change. That hurt more than anything. A small conversation. One evening, I finally spoke. I said softly, "Do you think we've grown distant?" He paused, then shrugged. That's just how life is. That was the moment my heart sank, because love should never feel like something you accept without care. That night, I sat alone near the window. The street outside was quiet. A soft breeze moved the curtain. I realized something painful. I was still supporting him. Still giving. Still adjusting. But he had stopped seeing me as someone who needed care too. And deep inside, I knew a moment was coming. A moment that would force me to face the truth I had been avoiding. The turning point did not come with shouting. It did not come with anger. It came quietly, like most painful truths do.
It was an ordinary day.
Nothing special. No warning. That morning, I woke up with a strange heaviness in my chest. Not sadness, exactly. More like a tired knowing. I moved through the house the way I always did. I made breakfast. I folded the laundry. I wiped the kitchen counter until it shined. I was doing everything right. At least everything I had always done. The small request. That afternoon, I asked him for something simple. I said, "Can you come with me to the doctor tomorrow?" He barely looked up from his phone. "Why?" he asked. "I haven't been feeling well," I replied. My voice was soft. "Careful." He sighed. "I have meetings. Can't you go alone?" That sigh felt heavier than any harsh word. I nodded. "Okay," I said. And just like that, the moment passed. Or so he thought. After he left the room, I stood still. My hands rested on the edge of the table. I realized something then. If it were him asking, I would have canceled everything. I always had. I remembered the days I sat outside his office for hours. The nights I stayed awake waiting for him. The years I put my needs last without complaint. And now I was asking for one small thing. 1 hour. One gesture. And it was too much. The memory that broke me. I sat down and looked around the living room. Our living room. The one I had built with care. Every curtain. Every photo. Every piece of furniture. I remembered the days I worked extra hours. The times I skipped rest so he could move forward. I remembered telling myself, one day he will see. That day never came. And that realization broke something inside me. The conversation I couldn't ignore. That evening, when he came home, I spoke again. Not accusing. Not angry. Just honest. "I feel invisible," I said. "I feel like I don't matter anymore." He looked surprised. Almost uncomfortable. "You're exaggerating," he replied. "I provide for this family." I nodded slowly. "I know," I said. "But I supported you long before there was anything to provide." He had no answer. The silence that said everything. We sat there in silence. The kind of silence that feels loud. I waited for him to reach out. To say something kind. To ask how long I had felt this way. He didn't. Instead, he stood up and said,
"I'm tired."
"Let's talk later." Later never came. And in that moment, I understood something clearly. He was not forgetting accidentally. He had already moved on emotionally. Looking at myself, that night, I stood in front of the mirror. I looked at my face. I saw lines I hadn't noticed before. Signs of years given freely. I whispered to myself, "You mattered." It was the first time in a long while I had said that, and I believed it. The shift. Something shifted inside me after that night. Not anger, not hatred.
Clarity.
I stopped expecting him to change. I stopped waiting for appreciation. And strangely, that hurt less. Because hope, when ignored for too long, becomes a burden. I went to bed that night knowing the truth. I had supported him for years. I had built a life around his needs. But somewhere along the way, he forgot my worth. And now I had to decide something quietly. Would I keep disappearing? Or would I finally see myself again? The days after that realization felt different. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet. A deep kind of quiet that settles inside you when something important has ended, even if nothing has been spoken out loud. I woke up the next morning and noticed how calm the house felt. Not peaceful, just empty in a new way. For the first time in years, I did not rush, choosing myself silently. I still made breakfast, still cleaned the kitchen. But I moved slower, not because I was tired, but because I was finally listening to myself. I stopped asking him small favors. I stopped explaining my feelings again and again, not out of pride, out of self-respect. There was a strange strength in that silence. The doctor visit. I went to the doctor alone. As I sat in the waiting room, surrounded by strangers, I felt something unexpected. Relief. No rushing home. No worrying if he was waiting.
No guilt.
The doctor spoke gently.
Nothing serious, he said.
Just stress. Years of it. I smiled softly. I already knew, seeing myself clearly. That afternoon, I sat by the window. The sunlight touched my hands. Hands that had cooked, cleaned, comforted, and carried a family forward. I realized something important. I had not been weak. I had been loyal. And loyalty, when unreturned, does not make you small. It makes you tired. A quiet change. Over the next weeks, I changed in small ways. I started taking walks alone. I joined a small class at the community center. I called old friends I had forgotten. I laughed again. Soft laughter. Real laughter. He noticed. Not immediately, but slowly. His question. One evening he asked, "You seem different." I nodded. "I am," I said. He looked confused, almost worried. "What changed?" he asked. I paused. I stopped forgetting myself. I replied, and oh blame, only truth. There was no argument.
No tears.
Just honesty. "I supported you for years," I said calmly. "And I would do this and feel unseen. Please hear this gently. Your sacrifices matter. Even if no one says it out loud. Your care matters. Your time matters. Your heart matters. And it is never too late to notice yourself again. Sometimes the hardest truth is not that someone forgot our worth. It is that we forgot it first. But once you remember, everything begins to change.
Slowly.
Quietly.
And beautifully.